My mother passed away before I was 10. My uncle, mother's elder brother, took me in and raised me because my father had already started a new life and a new family by then. My uncle treated me well, though I'm not sure if my aunt feels the same about me as he did. My uncle and aunt had an only son who's around my age, and what he had, I had it too. For example, if my uncle got my cousin a laptop, he would get me one too, which would be of the same worth. My uncle even got me a car for my 18th birthday, so my cousin also treated me just like his own brother. I'm very grateful to have them in my life. Everything I have and that I am, I owe to them. But unfortunately, my relationship with my uncle has recently hit a slight snag. In my culture, it's usually the parents who will help with purchasing a home for their sons when they get married. The reason is that people in my culture tend to marry young, but most of the time we would not have worked long enough to save up for even the down payment. For a man not to have a marital home is considered a disadvantage, and the women's family may not accept the proposed union, so a man having a marital home is very important. In my case, because my mother had passed away and my father is an absent parent, my uncle and aunt are my de facto parents. Indeed, my uncle said he would buy me a marital home. However, he has set a condition for that. I have to change my last name to his. Last names are a big deal in my culture, so this is not something that is taken lightly. My uncle said that since he's been like a father to me rather than my own father, and also as a remembrance to my mother, I should change my last name to his, which is also my mother's. So basically, no change in my last name equals no marital home. I told him this is an unfair demand because, as I said, last names are a huge deal in my culture, and a change could trigger uncomfortable questions from people. But my uncle insisted that if I refused to change my last name, I would have to buy the marital home on my own, which is impossible because I'm a fresh grad, and it could take years to save up for the down payment. This could seriously set me back in terms of a romantic relationship and future marriage. Because of our disagreement, things between my uncle and I have become awkward. So far, my aunt and cousin have not said anything to me, but a group of close friends I've confided to told me I'm the idiot. I'm surprised by their reaction because other than this, I've never gone against my uncle. I'm also very thankful to my uncle and what he's done for me, and I would gladly take up the responsibility alongside my cousin to take care of him in his old age. It's just that I don't think I should be forced into making a fundamental identity change and be punished for not doing it. Am I the idiot? So, do I understand this correctly? You refused to change your last name to your uncle's last name, also your mother's last name, who took care of you since you were 10 and treated you like his own son just because you're afraid of uncomfortable questions from random people? Yeah, sounds like you are the idiot. I imagine OP's culture values some names more than others, as some names would be associated with a higher class, which sucks and makes OP the idiot, as he's more worried about what people think of him than grateful for his uncle's generosity. Someone who raised you like their own for your entire life wants to give you upwards of $250,000, and the only condition is that you change your name to the family name, which is also your mother's name. Oh, poor you must be so devastated. You are the idiot. He's done everything for you out of kindness, but he's not obligated to do everything for you. He's not your actual father, so he's not duty-bound to help you with your house. If you think he's duty-bound, then he is your father, and you should understand why he wants you to share his name. You can't have it both ways. Why is changing the last name such a big deal? Women are expected to do it all the time. I guess it's only men whose heritage and identity that are important. Everyone's the idiot here. You can't expect him to pay for a house as if he's your dad without legally showing you see him as your father. He's an idiot for putting this as a condition first, but he's not your dad. He doesn't owe you a house. Either save up for it yourself or change your last name. I, female 32, have recently inherited money from my mom. She was the only parent, and losing her is beyond devastating. The money can barely be called inheritance because my mom and her family didn't have much, but it's better than nothing. My fiancé at first said I deserved it and have the right to do whatever I wanted with it. However, he told his whole family about it, and then his infertile brother and his wife pulled him aside for a conversation. After that, he started talking about wanting and needing a nephew or niece, basically hinting about his brother's infertility issues, then flat out requested that I pay for his brother and wife's IVF treatment from my inheritance money. I was taken aback initially, but then I declined. He got mad, saying I was selfish because 1. He and I are blessed never to have issues with fertility, and 2. I literally have nothing to lose if I give them money. Easy money that I didn't work for. This upset me to the point where I lashed out at him, telling him to stop bothering and guilting me about it. I denied the request as my final decision, but he got more agitated and went on a campaign to shame me for treating him as if he's not my future husband and therefore gets a say and a right to my inheritance, and not giving a single crap about his family's issues. What the heck? If my spouse asked me to just give it away as if it's free money, I'd be livid. Him speaking so insensitively about your mother's passing, nothing is easy about that, is another red flag. He's dismissing your experiences completely. He's putting his family's needs and wants before yours, and even asking you to do this is over the line, but he shames you for not giving in. More red flags. Please, please, please rethink this marriage. I think the inheritance was another blessing from your mother, showing you that this man is not meant to be your husband. So maybe take a mini vacation by yourself, away from the drama. Who knows, you might actually find your soulmate there. He's showing you your future. Is this what you want? I'd ditch him and find someone who won't treat you this way. He doesn't need a niece or nephew. He might want one, but it isn't a need. His brother and sister-in-law need to figure out how to pay for IVF independently. How would they intend to pay for a child? Put your inheritance money into an account that your fiancé cannot touch, or else it will magically disappear, and his brother and his wife will be getting IVF. I, nearly adult, am trans and came out to my family a few months ago. All in all, everyone has been supportive, although I believe my mom was a tiny bit bummed. She said she would always support me though. She just needs time to process all of this, which is honestly painful, but not the reason why I'm here. My mom got a tattoo with my sister's name and my dead name after I was born. It's a huge tattoo with a unique design incorporating her and my dead name. It covers most of her arm and she's proud of it because my older sister designed it and gifted it to her for her birthday. Obviously, constantly seeing my dead name is kind of triggering to me. Therefore, I told her she needed to remove it. She seemed shocked and told me she was too old for longer tattoo sessions. She hasn't gotten a tattoo in years because of that. She was also diagnosed with depression and such and uses it as an excuse for not having the energy to change it anymore. I don't really believe her, but whatever. Now, she often tries to cover it up with clothes, but I feel it's not enough. Just the knowledge that that name is still there, haunting me, but she refuses to change it. We had many fights because of it, and she said that she was trying to hide it, but it's part of her body that she's in love with because there is so much history and love for her children in that tattoo. I can't really relate because I don't have any particularly significant tattoos. Now, my birthday was a few days ago and some family came over, and the issue came up because my cousin was showing off her new tattoo and someone asked about the dead name tattoo. My mom got uncomfortably silent and excused herself and went to the kitchen. So everyone started asking me what that was about, and I told them that I wanted her to remove the tattoo, but she didn't want to. My sister also doesn't want her to because she believes it would look really awful since the entire design is attached to the names and the only way to cover it would be to make her entire arm black. Anyway, I didn't plan for that reaction, but my cousin, who can relate a bit because she's queer for some reason, got furious and went after my mom and screamed at her for being so unsupportive and accused her of being phobic. I don't believe it was nice to see someone get angry about the tattoo because my cousin was finally saying some things I was feeling, but I didn't want to put them into words. My mom then had a panic attack and left the house. She's now staying with my grandpa, and my dad and my sister are angry at me for making some of my family gang up on her. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You sound like a bully, and now you've got your cousin to attack your mom verbally and you're happy about it? You and your cousin both owe your mom a huge apology. You have the right to change your body and life so that you may walk through the world comfortably in your own skin. It would be hypocritical to take that same right away from your mother, and asking her to change or cover up her tattoo would be doing just that. This might be an unpopular comment, but you are the idiot. Depression is real whether you believe it or not. It's her body and she gets to control what's on it. She also has a serious health issue, and you are not giving that consideration because removal and alterations are painful and not easy. She loves you. She is being supported by covering it, but it is her body, not yours to control. I also agree your cousin was wildly inappropriate and owes her an apology. OP, gently. You want people to respect your autonomy and body, but you're not respecting your mom's. You actually think she's being an idiot by not subjecting her body to a cover-up tattoo removal. You'll be super embarrassed by your behavior here in a couple of years. It's very childish and self-centered. If you can't even see your former name with having a strong emotional reaction, that's something to unpack in therapy, not all over your mom. My uncle Chris is a great guy and our families have always been tight, but I'm planning a wedding and he is driving me insane. Chris hates my future mother-in-law because he worked his whole life at the same company waiting to get into a particular position, and they decided to hire externally. Mother-in-law got the job, but it was hard on Chris because mother-in-law typed her resume on her phone and clearly didn't proofread it. It looked like a high school kid wrote it, and she refused to interview. He's put off by some of her other behaviour, but mainly that resume because it was a joke, and he waited his whole life for that position. Every time they're in the same room due to pre-wedding festivities, he has to take some dig at her. He said she was too old for the colour she was wearing. A colour? He told my mom not to let her talk to my dad because she would sleep with anyone. He randomly threw a shirt at her when she was wearing a bikini and called her attention-seeking. It was a pool party and she was not the only one in a bikini. He wanted to invite her boyfriend to the bachelor party and buy him a hooker. He made fun of her for not being married, then told her boyfriend not to marry her because if they had a church wedding, the stained glass would shatter. Mother-in-law thinks this is funny, but it's stressing me out. Also, mother-in-law's boyfriend loves to play white knight and defend her. Mainly, he loves to hear himself talk. I find him pompous and unbearable, but holy smokes, does this man love a good argument. I recently sat Chris down and said the comments need to stop. I don't want a shred of drama at my wedding. I don't want to listen to mother-in-law's windbag boyfriend, and I don't want mother-in-law having ammo to trash me to her family that I let this happen. Chris said he was just having fun and blowing off steam. Then he began to get emotional and said how much it hurt him and how demeaning it was working under her. I might be an idiot because I said it's my wedding month and I just don't care about his feelings, and if he ruins this with any drama, I won't forgive him. He apologised, but my cousins later called me and blew up on me about how I was selfish and insensitive. I feel like I might have been a bit of an idiot because I know how much he wanted that job. I know how much mother-in-law sucks with her attitude and crappy resume, and I can't even imagine how she must act at work. I just have an extreme aversion to drama and don't want to listen to mother-in-law's obnoxious boyfriend. Not the idiot. Your uncle is directing his anger at the wrong person. Instead of being mad at your future mother-in-law, he should be mad at the company for which they work. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Wow. How much must Uncle Chris stink at his job that a woman with a crap resume full of spelling errors who refused to interview got the job instead of an internal hire? He's blaming the wrong people. He can blame himself. He can blame the upper management who overlooked his contributions to his company in favour of an outsider with a bad resume. But why blame her? Or OP has been fed some BS and the mother-in-law is just better than the uncle and he's too misogynistic to accept it. The fact that you're more concerned about listening to your mother-in-law's boyfriend defending her rather than the misogynistic complaining constantly coming out of your great guy uncle's mouth says an awful lot about you. Everyone's the idiot here. Well, just you and your uncle, really. Chris is not a great guy, what? He's a vile misogynistic pig and shame on you for not calling his BS out. Honestly, he's acting so poorly that I don't feel sorry for him, not even about the job. And it's no wonder mother-in-law's boyfriend defends her. No one else will, apparently. The way you speak about the guy drips with condescension, and you find him pompous? Look in the mirror. Also, you do not get a wedding month, LOL. You come across as so self-centered throughout the whole story. I'm an affair baby. I've always been pretty well aware of this, but it's not something I tell many people. My mom was young when she met my father, and she was unaware at the time of their meeting that he was married. My mom discovered the truth about him when his wife showed up one day and told my mother that she better leave town. She found out about me less than a month later and told him, and that is when his entire family found out. My mom ended up raising me on her own mostly. He and his wife stayed together, but there were times I met and was around his family because they hated that he needed to pay child support, and eventually Mom had to agree to say no to child support to stop him from taking me. We then moved so I wouldn't be subjected to mistreatment. My father's children told everyone, and I was in school with 2 of his nephews who spread the news around that I was an affair baby and my father didn't want me. I knew I was hated. My father's children were never shy about the fact they hated me. When she was 17, one of his daughters told me she found me repulsive and hoped I would die from a horrible disease. I haven't seen or heard from any of these people in more than 20 years. I met my husband when I was in college, and I did tell him. He was always kind and promised me nobody would treat me that way again. He also respected that I didn't want the news to go around. His family was always nice to me and asked questions about why I only had a mom. I told them I didn't have much of a family and my father hadn't wanted me. They found out the truth in a way they never explained to me. But a few days ago they confronted me about being an affair baby, and how could I not tell them because it was really relevant? My husband asked them why. He said none of that was my fault. They said it was not so simple as my father being a deadbeat and my mom being the wronged party. My husband told them it was never any of their business. They told me I was a liar and that I'm ashamed of what I am, which is why I don't tell people. They said my character was questionable, knowing what they know now, and that lying is never the answer. I feel so bad because my husband is supporting me and this has damaged my relationship with his family, but I also hate that this is the exact reaction I didn't want. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Why are they pinning it on you? You've done nothing wrong, and for someone to judge you for it is very strange. You didn't tell them because you didn't trust their reaction, and now that they found out, they're proving you right. So tell them that all trust you had for them is spent. One thing I've learned from my life experiences of being an affair baby is many people see someone like me as being dirty or tainted for being conceived the way we were. I was born in the South, and I found a lot of that where I was born. It's treated like an inherited part of who we will be as well, and many people are disgusted by us for that very reason. Tell them my father and his side of the family were terrible people who were the wrong ones here. He cheated on his wife, and I was the result. His family bullied my mother and me out of our hometown. Gee, I wonder why I don't like peeling back that scab to show you all the ugly bits you feel entitled to. Not telling you isn't the same as lying. Your reaction is exactly why I don't like telling people. OMG, I'm fuming on your behalf. Whatever happened in your past has absolutely nothing to do with his family. It's none of their business. You haven't caused this damage. They have by snooping, being so judgmental, and invading your privacy. Hold your head up high, honey. You've done nothing wrong.